You're scrapping, as you just said, the $250 voucher when it comes to energy. You think it's economically irresponsible. So households are going to be immediately worse off under you when it comes to energy.
Well, I mean, under Labor, we will be looking at long-term reform to make sure that we don't have supply gaps in New South Wales.
But the problems are now.
You know, I just point, that's a fair point. And voters are going to have to weigh our plan up against the government's. But what I'd say to you about...
So they're going to have to pay more for energy?
I think this is an important point. What I would say to them is that what Mr Perrottet doesn't reveal is that it costs $500 million to do that website handout. And the year after the handout disappears, because it's only for 1 year, power bills are expected to go up 30%. Now,
but do you really have control over that? This is something that your Labor colleagues at federal level are grappling with too.
I do think that if you look to the future, start looking for problems in the energy market, particularly in relation to supply and the dispatchable power from renewable energy, then you can make inroads in relation to supply and price shock. But it does require long-term thinking. Now, that's what we're pitching. We're pitching a corporation that looks to the future for reliable energy. The New South Wales government's giving a 1-year handout, and the year after that handout disappears, prices will spike by 30%.
All right, so how much will your policy bring down power prices by, and when?
Yeah, it's not possible to make that prediction right now.
But ballpark? Like, well, is it going to be more than $250 over 3 years?
Well, I'm going to be honest with the people of New South Wales and say that the benefits of this policy will be felt 6 and 7 years down the line, and it's not possible for me to explain.
7 years? They're going to have to wait?
It's important that I get this out.
Okay.
To make sure that you've got firming power, particularly in relation to pumped hydro, those projects take a lot of time. And so a government that's looking down the runway and saying, we don't want a repeat of the problems that we're facing right now in 5 to 7 years' time is exactly what you'll get from New South Wales Labor. Part of the reason why power prices are spiking right now is the work was not done 5 years ago. The government believed that the constant reliable supply of energy would exist forever, and as a result I think we're in a hole at the moment. So yes, we're going to the election saying we've got a long-term plan for energy. We believe that will benefit the grid over time, and the government's giving you a handout, but just for 1 year.
But a lot of your voters are struggling right now. Are you just saying to them today that they're going to have to wait several years, maybe into your second term, before they see real changes?
No, I think a lot of voters would say, you know what, Labor's come to the table being honest about energy policy. Yeah. They're looking down the runway.
And is that the honesty, that it's going to take several years?
I'm just going to try and get this out. They're going to look at it and say, Labor's got an honest policy when it comes to energy. They're looking down the runway to make sure that we don't have these problems over and over again. But I like their policy in relation to tolls. A $60 cap to make sure that I don't pay exorbitant tolls to private toll road companies that shouldn't have been privatised in the first place.
Do you really think it's reasonable to say your toll relief plan makes up for the cost of living when it comes to energy when that affects 2% of people?
But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that voters will make a decision.
Direct comparison there.
Voters will make a decision about who's got the best plan for cost of living and the future of the state based on a whole range of policies. And I think that's reasonable for me to say.
The toll relief affects 2% of people. Everyone pays for energy.
You know what? That's a good point. But our toll relief plan is focused on those communities that have to use toll roads to get to work. And 17 of the 20 worst suburbs when it comes to access to public transport are in Western Sydney.
Okay, fine. Just let's wrap this up and tie it in a neat bow then. Is it true to say that if voters vote for you, for Labor, they're not going to get that short-term relief on their energy bills? They're going to have to wait a little longer?
They're going to get a government that's focused on long-term reform to make sure...
Is the answer yes?
Laura, I think I'm entitled to present the policies that we're taking to the New South Wales with my own words. Yeah. And the voters are smart enough to say Labor's got a plan for long-term energy reform in New South Wales. The Liberal Party's got a cash handout. Okay.